מה נתניהו?
ברכה והברכה. תשמע, wann die Zeit doch nicht gesehen.
מה אנחנו בדבר?
ברכה והצלחה. תפלאי ולהתקשיר.
באתי לבקש את זה
בכל העניינים.
גם אנשים, גם הלאומיים.
בזמן שישראל לאחרונה נתפסו כמה עניינים.
התפתחו כמה.
מה שרואה עוד, וגם מצו שעדיין משיח ליבו. אז הייתה מה שהוא ומה ידיעתו.
ועושים.
הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגיר ועדיין ליבו, אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אבל יש להשתדל גם היום, בבשורות טובות. זה שמחה וטוב לבוא. על כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל ימנים ומת שמחה. בשורות טובות, הצלחה רבה.
Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson told Netanyahu he has to do more to bring about the Jewish Messiah.
So like a curious traveler on a quest, we embark upon a journey of information. Stay with us for a ride into knowledge.
Now, some religious figures and commentators have speculated about Bibi Netanyahu's role in biblical prophecy, particularly due to his close relationship with this rabbi, the late leader of the Chabad Leibovitch movement, who also told Netanyahu he would become Israel's prime minister and help prepare the way for the Messiah. Now, this is viewed as theological speculation, especially among certain Christians and Jewish groups, about Netanyahu's potential role in the end times events. In fact, some online discussions have labeled Netanyahu as the Antichrist due to his political actions, especially regarding Israel's Hamas conflict and his hardline policies. And for example, one social media user claimed, "I truly believe Netanyahu is Satan, based on his handling of the war in Gaza." And while others have made symbolic connections, such as his association with Jared Kushner and 666 Fifth Avenue in New York. Now, additionally, some prophecy-focused narratives suggest the Jewish Messiah, whom Christians might interpret as the Antichrist, will rebuild the temple in Jerusalem and make a 7-year peace deal, leading to a period of tribulation. There are even movements within Judaism preparing for such events, like that red heifer sacrifices thing and the priestly preparations going on. Many believe that the Antichrist is still to come and that he will appear as a shrewd, ruthless politician who is out to rule the world. Now, some are saying Benjamin Netanyahu is the Jewish Messiah, hence the Christian Antichrist. But what exactly is the anticipated Antichrist that so deeply frightens people? If you investigate the differences, they're easy to find. The one the Jews are waiting for has nothing to do with the one the Christians are expecting. The Messiah of the Jews has no connection whatsoever to the Messiah of Christians. Not only are they not the same, they should be, and in fact will be, mortal enemies. The Messiah of the Jews, who is to appear just before the end of Yahweh's design, is the very one Christians consider to be the Antichrist. He is the one who embodies absolute evil. He is the one who brings to a close, in the absolutely worst possible way, the absolute worst period in human history. He is the cause that will make Yahweh appear and punish the world. And through that punishment, he will transform the world for his chosen ones. So what does the literature of the Jews themselves say about the one that Christians consider to be the Antichrist? What exactly are the Jews expecting, and how are they preparing to welcome him? According to their own scriptures, the Jews are awaiting a Messiah who will be the greatest leader in their history, more powerful than even David. On a theological level, he will not be a divine incarnation. He is a man who will appear publicly after the age of 30 as an ordinary man who would never even consider proclaiming himself as God. This man will become their leader, the one who, after centuries, will gather all the Jews once again in the land of Israel. He will restore Judaism as the capital of Hebraism. He will rebuild the Temple of Solomon that was destroyed by the Romans under Titus. This leader of the people of Israel will manage either by peace or by force to impose his rule over all humanity. If humanity does not resist, he will supposedly rule with peace. And if that fails, he will wage war against it in order to bring them into submission. The Jews then are clearly expecting a national leader, one with the power of a world ruler, who will subjugate peoples and nations to his authority, serving their own national interest. It's evident that the references to peace here should be understood as deception. Those who do not resist his authority will be the ones who are deceived, simply because they will not comprehend what is truly happening. In reality, his rule will be imposed through force, since the voluntary submission of one person to another or one people to another, it's unnatural and therefore highly unlikely. In any case, even deception itself is a form of violence. Spiritual violence, since it is imposed upon the human beings in opposition to what they perceive and to their own detriment. This kind of violence is inevitable because humanity cannot be subjugated to a tyrant, especially one so ruthless, without resisting. And this is the one the Jews are waiting for to take leadership of their people, because as a people, they have something to gain from him. They are not waiting for him to save humanity. They are not waiting for him alongside other people for a common cause. They are waiting for him alone so that he may favor them at the expense of the rest of humanity, to make them rich and powerful, to deliver all human beings into their service. This is the mindset of the Jews, and it does not change with time, because over the centuries, they have been deeply saturated with the idea of being the chosen people, and they see it as their unquestionable right to profit at the expense of ordinary humans. They view and accept even the harshest rule over them as perfectly legitimate. The Jews do not value the rest of humanity because they do not feel any kinship with them. In truth, they hate and despise them. They see them as inferior beings whose only usefulness is to serve the chosen ones. As two-legged animals over whom the Jews claim the authority to do as they please. To kill them when they resist, to exploit them sexually for profit, to abuse them for their own pleasures, to poison them with drugs and pharmaceuticals, to gain financially, to profit from them through usury and economic manipulation. Nothing is forbidden to the Jews if it brings them advantage over the rest of humanity. Everything falls within the bounds of what is permitted because they believe they are entitled as the supposed chosen ones of God right here on earth. So when a high-ranking Jewish government official of Israel proclaims that Palestinians are animals and that no one cares if they are led to death, whether through bombings or starvation, because the Jewish settlers must be accommodated, he means it. He believes it just as firmly as the pilots of the world's most ethical army who bomb defenseless people with the most advanced weapon systems. He believes it just as firmly as the officers of the world's most ethical police force who arrest 10-year-old children and torture them. This, unfortunately, is the reality of the people of the chosen nation who await their self-serving Messiah, hoping he will make them even more richer and more powerful. This belief is passed down from generation to generation, shaping the Jews into fascists and racist. And thus it also becomes embedded in their state. A fascist and racist state in which the Antichrist will take power, and at some point, even if only briefly, will seize control of global authority. Now, this isn't something we're claiming out of being anti-Zionist or anti-Jewish. This is all stated in the Talmud. In fact, the sages of Hebraism have precisely defined the ratios between Jews and the so-called lesser humans. They have calculated how many lower humans will serve each Jew during the era of the Messiah's triumph. They've determined how many goyim are required per Jew for him to be content in their earthly paradise. Just as fanciful Muslims have calculated how many virgins await them in heavenly paradise as a reward from the prophet, so too have the Jews calculated their equivalent number of servants. It is from this belief that the current tolerance within Jewish society stems. Their acceptance of the state of Israel's disproportionate reaction against Palestinians. They tolerate as a just response to the supposed abduction of a handful of Jews, the deaths of tens of thousands of Gaza's children. Tooth for a tooth, but in this case, one Jewish tooth is worth an entire set of teeth from the Goyim servants. Just more food for thought.
Thanks for watching this and all our videos. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, stay curious, fellow travelers, and have a great day.